observe from the outside, kind of watching you operate with some of these companies, because they're very early stage enterprises. And so what occurs to me is that the leadership that you provide can often extend beyond just pure finance, that there's a broader issue or a broader role for you to play. I mean, as the head of finance or as a CFO, you may be one of the only or one of the few actual executive level leaders in the company. Is that what you found, and what is that like to work kind of across the company on things that are outside of finance and accounting?
Well, I would say that one of the main things that people always try to separate personal life and business life. And the truth of the matter is that those don't separate. And they might have used to separate in back when there was manufacturing, people were heads down just doing a single task. But when it comes down to the way that the economic infrastructure has changed itself, is that we're much more service oriented now, right? I mean, back in like the 20s or whatever, it was 80% manufacturing, 20% services. Now it's, it's flipped. And when it comes down to a lot of organizations, what I would say is that when it comes to different decisions, everything, there's a lot of that goes into it that's just beyond business itself. And I think the question you're asking is more of like cross-laterally between different departments and different decisions. How does a CFO help? But what you come to realize, and you hear this from hearing the trusted advisor type thing, is that there's also a lot of personalities that you have to deal with. And I think what ends up happening with the CFO position is that you kind of are seen as a voice of reason and objectivity. So where others might be really volatile in their reaction because they're using emotions to guide what they want to do, the CFO and also just the accounting department as a whole is seen as more of an objective measure of things. So what ends up happening is a lot of times people come to you, ask you a question, and just ask if they're crazy, and your answer is, well, maybe. It depends what you're asking about. Let's talk about this, and you'll talk through different scenarios and look at it. But a lot of the times, I think what ends up happening too is that what you also realize from the finance and accounting side is that you weren't the person who came up with the idea for the business itself. That's the CEO. Sometimes it's maybe like co-founded with a couple different people. So what you also learn to do in that is trust the leader and trust the entrepreneur themselves as well. Because sometimes what ends up happening in discussing things with people is financially something might not look the best, especially if in the accounting side and the CFO side, you tend to be reining a lot of people in. It feels like a lot of times you're playing defense. And what you realize is that sometimes the accounting measure is not the right measure that you need to look at a particular opportunity. So it's in working cross-laterally with different departments, a lot of times it's looking at those different objectives. What does this objective serve? Does this make sense? And then you weigh all the different things that you have based on your experience, either if it's based off of quantitative measures or some qualitative measures because you've seen it before. And that's one thing that really helps from our perspective that we've had, is that we've worked with enough different companies that we'll see recurring things. There's patterns. And we say it's, history might not repeat itself, but it rhymes. Mm-hmm. You're able to give that scenario to people where you say, okay, this is happening at our company right now. At this prior company, this is what happened. And another prior company, this is what happened. We might want to consider those items when we're making this decision, and it might not be based all off of finance accounting. It might be just based off experience. So, yeah.